technical difficulties are solved. We are hot mic, live video, streaming. So everything is good to go. So if somebody can call the meeting to order, that will
Meeting
be
to order.
meeting to order. Okay, and Laura knows when to start. Then if she can cut off everything before that. So
Well, you got the gravel road.
thank you.
Oh,
Yeah. All right. There we go. Perfect. Thank you.
All right. I took the less than 1 acre
Love you,
in the
bye.
PG zoning to the council, and we just kind of discussed it.
mhm.
No big objections. Again, part of the reason for taking it to the council early was just to, last council meeting was to kind of give them an update of what we were doing. And says, oh, here's 2 newbies concepts, gave it to them, that read it, didn't really have any issues. So if they're not saying that it was approved, they didn't have any issues with it, so now we're gonna incorporate those 2 documents through Scott into, the document.
So real quick, I know that I wasn't here for the last one, but when I texted you and asked about it and you wrote me back and you were like the zoning classification, you put AG, which I know is ag, but then you put ranchettes. Is that
Right.
something
We're
new
gonna be
wordage?
talking
Okay.
about that.
Okay, I was
But
like,
just
that's
to kind of-
something new.
No, yeah, just to, mainly just to let you know, those 2 classifications, they were okay with it. Again, they're not approving it, but if they had questions or something, then I would bring them back to us. We would tidy it up and, before we put it into the document.
Okay. And so what is the ranchettes?
Yeah, and we're gonna be talking about that. I've got them all on the list.
Oh, okay.
But first, what they need to say, understand and be thinking in this light. We've taken the zoning documents, we take ordinances and things like that, and we run them through a program, kind of more of an AI type program.
Mhm.
And they like take the zoning ordinance, and they go through, and they tell us, okay, high risk. The way this is worded, this is high risk for lawsuits or problems or things like that. So, and then ideally what we want is to try to get the whole document, when we run the final document through, to get it to come out more of a low to moderate document.
Mhm.
What we're not understanding, we can have a lot of things in our zoning ordinance, and it sounds good now, but when you test it, that'll probably get you a lawsuit, and you'll probably lose. So what we want to do is soften that blow a little bit, okay? So what we've done, what I have up here is all the different zoning classifications, and I have SFPD, that's the grandfather, and then the single family less than an acre, that's a grandfather. So we've got those 2 categorized. What I've done is put them in the order of intensity zoning. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna take ag and take it to the bottom of the list. In most towns, and you're familiar with this, ag is ag. You can't do anything in ag but ag. If you get a property that's wants to annex into the town, most of the time it comes in as ag. And what ag zoning is to 90% of the world is just that. If you want to do anything with property that is zoned ag, you have to come in for rezone. And you see that. If you see all the yellow signs in Rockwall and different places, zoning request from AG to light industrial, whatever.
Mhm.
That means that property was historically agriculturally zoned, let the farm and ranchers do whatever they wanted. Now they're aging out, they want to sell out and do something else, sell it out to developers to their property. Then it comes in, you can't do anything in ag, anything that you want to do, you have to come to the town to get that done.
And then the proper people have to be notified within so many feet of
So many
that
feet.
property. You have the meeting so that all your
Announcements in the
citizens
newspaper, the
can
public
come,
meetings.
voice their opinion before there is an actual ruling on what they're gonna let happen.
had in our zoning ordinance, the existing zoning ordinance is just that. This comes in as high risk because, if you read in the ag zoning on page 5, permitted uses, and it has this whole list of other permitted uses. We can do schools, playgrounds, community building, churches, museums, all of that. What they view all of that is as opportunity to abuse the zone. We should not have other classifications allowed in that zone. What we should do is keep it as ag. If you want to put a church there, fine, come in, get it rezoned, show us a site plan, all of that, and then we would consider us this. What this will do to this council and future councils would be that because of that, and understand from a developer standpoint, every developer knows if they're buying a piece of ag land, zoned ag, they know they got to go through the process, whether it's in your town or towns I've worked in, towns you've worked in, everybody knows. So in one sense, by kind of cleaning this up, we are going to become we would be more standardized to other towns. A developer, okay, it's zoned ag, we know we got to come with a site plan, get rezoned, show them everything. And that's the good side. So what this also forces, that means the future town council would be able to have, they would get a look from day one and be able to look and be part of that process. Okay? So the first thing we would do is eliminate all of these other uses.
Wait, what are you talking about now?
In
page
ag,
5?
on page 5 of our zoning ordinance,
Yes, I'm looking.
okay?
Where do you see that?
We're right there, 7.2.4.
Oh, that's on page 5.
Well, mine is page 5, I'm sorry. 7.2.4. Or point 2, 7.2.
Okay.
And so, because see, a developer come in there and say, okay, an office community build, they could use that as a way to get in and carve off 2.5 acres, put a building or something and do something, kind of divide and conquer us over time. And they could get away with that. So they wouldn't have to tell us what their real reason for buying 150 acres was not for that 2.5 acres. So, and I talked this around, and so the first thing and the reason why I'm bringing it up first, talk this around to councilmen, different people. What we need to do is, okay, where do we want ag zoning to start? What acreage, at what acreage point do we want to start ag?
Well, I mean, I think that don't make it difficult. Whatever acres the state classifies you as ag, with how many you have.
Yeah, exactly. And
I mean, that way it's not confusing, and you don't have the argument of,
well,
if
it's
we-
not, but you're right. It's not real consistent. But where I've seen a lot of towns that are older towns, okay, not like us, or older towns, they tend back that had zoning back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, they would start ag at about 40 acres. But that, for poetry, in the sense that where we are in poetry, what I'm hearing, what I would throw out to start the conversation was 25 acres. And
Well,
what I
it
was
starts
reading,
at 5 right now.
right,
And we've been discussing that for
Right.
date.
but we're gonna be understand, we're at the bottom of the list. Ag is the least intense zoning of all zoning, so we're taking to the bottom where you're gonna find it in most zoning ordinances, right? And then, again, like you said, you notice we've added ranchettes. And we're gonna have this gap. And then that's why we kind of want to talk about all of the ag. Would we want to start ag? ranchettes would be below that down to something. I don't know what it is. We need to decide what we think is the lowest we want to go for ranchettes. And maybe it's 5 acres. The reason for that is you get under 5 acres, the taxing authority generally won't issue an ag exemption for land under 5 acres. Generally. Depends on the county, the assessor, every county's gonna be a little bit. So, you're right, under a ranchette, we may go 5 up to ag. See? Okay,
Oh, and, but 40 acres, there's not gonna be any place in here that'll have 40 acres in the town.
That's just 25.
no. All right, no, you're right, and I'm gonna get to that, because you're right. All right, so. What we have, when the first zoning committee, and it's in this, in our current zoning, we came up with the term, it was my fault if you don't like it. But in that first zoning committee, because we just had that little 622-foot strip, most of the properties are not gonna be all in the town. So what we look at it is, okay, can we identify the mother tract? Okay, so the mother tract would be, let's say, how many acres do you have?
We have 34.
34 acres. So what we thought was, and you probably have 2 acres in town?
I guess, yeah.
Do you know how much?
Our house sits back a half a mile from the road.
Okay, but how much frontage along?
I don't know how wide it is. It's pretty wide.
Okay, all right, in my case, I have 10 acres, okay? And I have almost 400 feet of frontage, 380 call it. Well, I have just barely 2 acres in the town, but I have 10 acres. You probably have maybe, let's call it 3 acres. And the rest of your property is in the ETJ or in the county. Okay, so what we did in the original zoning committee, we viewed it as, okay, let's establish the mother tract. Now, we have to be a little careful with the mother tract, because some people might look at that, but we get around it with the wording, is that, well, wait a minute, you're zoning ETJ land. No, we're not. We're using the contiguous tract, and that's the key. It's gotta be contiguous to the property that is in the town. So, it doesn't matter what you have in town, but you have, let's say you have 38 acres. So we would look at the mother tract. So if the mother tract is 40 acres or more, then it would come into the town zone as ag. Okay? And so in other words, you're only ag because your contiguous acres meets the acre
Meets
requirement.
the standards.
But we're not zoning the land outside of the town. We want to look at you as a contiguous tract and stay consistent with what you're doing now.
See, I don't see any of that in our current zoning.
Yeah, it's, look at your definitions, you'll see mother tract.
Well, that was one of the original things first meetings we were eliminating.
We were gonna eliminate it.
Yeah.
Now, because again, this is a work in progress.
Now, where is this coming from that you're going full circle on mother track?
Right.
Well, why?
Why?
He's asking, why are you?
Okay, why we're doing that?
Where did this come from?
Okay, because there's that, talking to some other council members and citizens, there is that thing. It's because our ag definition now, okay, is it's just too convoluted. What we want to try to do with ag is let the people that are truly ag users, farmers and ranchers, stay with that. Just like we want to grandfather PD people, we want to grandfather let's grandfather the farmers and ranchers.
And we talked about that in depth, and we were stuck on whether to limit residential development within
Correct.
the quantity.
And take out all of those other what if uses.
Mhm.
In other words, and 2 in our ag, it says you can start splitting it up in 2.5 acres.
Right.
Well, think about it. your 3 acres, you don't have to come in and do anything. You got, if you got 2.5 acres on your frontage, you do whatever you want.
What did we do?
You see what I'm saying? See the problem? So what that's gonna do is give developers a foothold, being able to come in there and use and abuse our zoning ordinance for that. Where now what we're thinking is, or the thought process is, if we take away that 2.5 acres and we set a larger tract of land for that mother tract, then they have to come in for anything. And that's how most cities are with that.
So you're saying Bishop Field, for example, if we had what you're proposing, they would have to come in for zoning?
Well, in theory, because
Yeah,
part of it does
if
touch.
it's zoned for ag,
That's what I'm
yeah.
saying.
But they don't have that much land that touches poetry.
But it should have, you're saying any bit that touches.
They have
a
a little
couple acres.
60-foot
A
strip.
couple acres.
Yeah, but it's like 60 feet wide. Okay? And so we would zone that 60-foot wide piece if it's contiguous with the 400 acres, if plus or minus whatever they have out there. Then that little 60 acre, that little 2 or 3 acre tract would be zoned ag.
But
Because
then,
it's off continuous.
Huh?
Because it's off the
It's
continuous.
contiguous to, it's attached.
And I know
to-
that sounds kind of petty,
Yeah.
making them do the 60 feet rezoning, but that happens
All the
and
time.
sometimes it's even less than 60 feet they're having
Yeah,
to do.
exactly.
but still, you know, the way I've understood this is it's gone back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
No matter, the bulk of the property for Bishop Field, we wouldn't have any control over.
We
There's
don't.
no zoning.
But
Correct.
it doesn't make it, in a way, it doesn't make it easy for the developers.
And we at least have to look at it.
Yeah.
That was the intent in putting some of this in, was, I know Simeon and Jonathan, and I guess Tara too, they thought that we would have some control over Bishop Field
ETJ.
by having this, but the answer legally was no.
But what gives more control? 40 acres of contiguous land and having a few acres within the town, or limiting the size, going like we had before, being close down to 5 acres,
Mm-hmm.
meaning some of these even smaller tracts would be subject to what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Right. But again, I think the reality is, let's look at reality. You're 38 acres. What's the chances are a developer would want to come in and buy your 38 acres?
I mean, my husband ain't gonna sell that,
Okay.
period. I mean,
Right. Why? Because y'all are here, you're young, you got another
He's
20, 30
put
years.
every bit of his life into
And
that property.
Right.
But if the right offer came along,
Is
developer
a,
buys it.
Well, I'm not gonna sell, he's not gonna
yeah,
sell.
Brady.
He plans to die in that house.
Well, and my wife and I are the same way. What are the chances of a developer buying you out?
Not very well, because that had to be bought out in part with a neighboring property.
Right.
To make it make sense.
Okay.
Not feasible.
Now,
But the Jacks, for example,
If I
They
sold
could.
it at the time with them, yes.
now you have,
Or if they sold them, so either way.
yeah, now you have 150 acres and you're in your 70s. And my point being is a developer going to chase any of us to buy land and put it in a subdivision? No.
It depends on what they have beside you, yes.
Right. What they could assemble.
Mhm.
Okay. But what they could assemble at 200 acres at 3 units to the acre, which is pretty normal for a residential subdivision, right? Do another mud, that'd be 600 units. Okay, so the developers aren't looking at people like us and our land. How much land do you have, Scott?
37
They're
acres.
not looking for you. Well, what they're gonna look at is that 200 acres on 986, or that land on 1565. That's what the developers are coming for, not for us. So, we kinda need to tighten up the ag. So, when they come, even though we just have a little strip, but it's contiguous to 150 acres, that's the reason why you're zoned ag. Now, you can still come in and say, okay, I want to give my daughter 2.5 acres on up there so they can build her first house, yada, yada, yada. They can do that and come, have it rezoned to whatever classification for that acreage, and do it, quite honestly. We're not trying to control agricultural use or your lifestyle or your heritage. We're not trying to control that. You still get to do all of the things you dreamed of. But if a LLC comes in and wants to rezone that, the light should come on.
What, and based on what we've talked about over the past several months, what difference would this route may take for them to, of course, the portion that's within the town, not develop that, just like we talked about, green space. So,
But what it does, it gives them a foot in. They could say, oh, I'm just gonna build a road.
a road, a driveway.
And that 2.5 acres.
So I'm
Yeah.
just curious, cause I don't know, I know y'all will. I think it's called the Broken K. I could be completely wrong. Oh, y'all told me last time it was Rick Kennedy.
Lazy K.
Is it,
Lazy K.
that's on 2426?
Yes, ma'am.
At that big corner?
That's the Lazy K. That is Rick Kennedy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it said Broken K on the,
Is that in the town, part of that in the
I
town?
don't know if that one, that
I
one's
think it's
not,
Madison.
because I know when you pass my house and I think you only have maybe 3 more driveways.
I think it's best.
And after that third driveway,
big
and then the
house.
road turns to the right.
Right.
That's the cutoff.
Right there, right in
But-
there, yeah.
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 Well, that man's got lots of acres. I mean, I know that's not in the town, but that's like on the outskirts
Top
of it.
edge of town,
Yeah.
right,
Past, and if you're going the other way, past the wedding venue.
right. And that we have really no control,
Yeah.
okay? So, just, and there again, we don't necessarily have to decide anything tonight. This is because this is new to y'all and I don't expect you to. But let's talk about it and kind of be thinking about it, then come back next month and say, okay, tidy it up.
So I guess I need more like understanding, clarification on the ranchettes.
Okay.
Like what is this?
All right,
What is
that's
are
us.
y'all thinking
That's
a
all of us in
ranchette's
this
gonna
room.
be?
Okay, so it's whatever ag is, minimum acreage, and below down to, is it 5 acres, 10 acres, where do we want it? A ranchette, I've got this for you. Now, this is an advertisement from a real estate company talking about ranchettes. But read this, and mainly just so you get an idea about what
Ranch roads.
a ranchette is. Okay? And I think we know. But I think the reason I'm giving you this, because it gives some good information about,
I mean, it should be.
forget about the marketing parts of it. Just read the languages.
Building of ag and single families, but
Mhm.
Okay, so yeah,
In one sense, everybody in this room, we're ag. I mean, we're ranchette.
yeah,
We moved to the country, at the time, we couldn't afford 1,500 acre land. We certainly can't afford 60 acre now. In fact, if you really look at it, and I've been doing the same, if you really look at it, the biggest population that we have in poetry is ranchette. So back up, we have what I call the legacy families, the families that have been here for generations and still have the large acreage. They've got their thoughts about what this town needs to be. And then, 30 years ago, these city slickers moved out here and wanted to buy a cowboy hat and become a mini ranchette owner, right? So that's what we're gonna do. In one way, we're simplifying it, but in another way, and allow people, leave them alone, let you do what you wanna do under these classifications. Okay, so a ranchette would be, you'd be able to do everything you can do on a ranch or a farm. You can have your animals, you can have dog kennels, you can be a breeding facility, you can have your kids can have 4-H projects, all of that kind of thing. And I think there's one, I love the one comment, I think on the last page, and occasionally shoot a gun.
Oh, yeah.
Because that kind of defines a ranchette. That's why we moved to the country, isn't it?
Mhm.
Leave me alone. And let me we have a burnout ordinance, let me burn my trash and burn my,
So you're just proposing to change the definition from ag to ranchette?
no, we're gonna have both.
Yeah, both.
But
It seems like this is gonna slide into where SFE used to be.
It's just, the only
There
difference
gonna
would
be
be,
anybody in the town more, or be almost nobody more than 5 acres.
no, you gotta keep in the mother trash. And we can solve that with the language. Otherwise, if you wanna look at it,
What's in the ETJ?
okay, all right, so here,
Within the town of Poetry, not in ETJ,
Mhm,
there's a handful that have 5 acres
I
in
agree,
the town.
I agree, but maybe.
Virtually
and-
none more than 5 acres in the
Right.
town. The rest is ETJ.
So that, all right, so listen to the other side of that argument. How many large tracts of land have more than 5 acres in the town? Not that many. Not that many. You could probably count them on one hand. You might have to get into the second hand a little bit.
I think 4 or 5.
More than 5 acres in town. That's not that many. So I think that's why we have to kind of back up and look at it from a standpoint of that mother tract. And let's just throw an example out. This is just an example. So let's say for ag, we go to, just for discussion, 20 acres to infinity. More than 20 acres you're ag with your mother tract.
Yeah, I mean, me growing up and our house over there was in Kaufman County. And was just always told, or was stuck in my head that if you had 20 acres,
You're,
that was ag.
Mhm.
20, you had 20 acres, you could, classify it to be.
But that was all in the town limits you're talking about.
Well,
right?
what's great, well, see, that's where I lived before is kind of a little, when I was young, a little wonky, kind of like ours. Like, it was a Terrell address,
Mhm.
but it was, it was Kaufman County, and I literally lived on the line of Terrell and Kaufman,
Okay.
because it was so weird. I would have a Terrell address, but we had a Kaufman phone number.
Oh,
because we
Kaufman,
were-
the town of Kaufman you're talking
Yes, but and then where we were at was Kaufman County. So it was just weird because like, it was one of those things, some rules applied and some didn't, because we literally lived on the line of Terrell and Kaufman. I had to go to Terrell schools, but we had a Kaufman phone number. We had Rose Hill Estate Water,
Yeah.
which wasn't Terrell, it wasn't Kaufman, it was Rose Hill Estate Water. So it was kind of like how we are with our town is we have our town, depending on part of your town that you're in, what county you're in, it's
Mhm.
kind of, and so different rules apply to different parts of the
Yeah.
town.
Because
So,
school districts don't necessarily follow county lines.
correct,
That's why kids in Hunt County are going to school in Kaufman County.
yes.
about. Okay, but back to the question, were you, that whatever 20-something acres in a town, or was it in an ETJ?
Oh, I believe it's in town. Well, I
Oh,
mean,
it was. Okay, well, that's,
that
then that's different. That's not what we have here. The way our geography is, the bulk of it is in ETJ, regardless of what you have.
Mhm.
So,
And we offer no services, so
So-
we have no say so.
so I thought Mr. Berman had already given us the ruling that it doesn't matter, like, and the example was Bishop Field. It doesn't matter what's written here, is that what's in the ETJ, we can't control. We
Right,
can only control that short 100-yard strip.
you're exactly right.
And so the mother track issue, I thought had been thrown out by Mr. Berman.
No, it was in the original.
It was it was in here, but when we asked about it, as related to
Well,
Bishop Field, the answer was no, we
Well,
cannot
we-
control it.
And everything we draft up, we run past Berman. We will.
Well, I wasn't involved in that. That
Yeah,
was
but we
Tara.
will, not, they
No,
didn't.
I'm
We
just
will.
saying that when I asked him the question, the answer was, it's in the ETJ, we have no control. The mother tract issue, which was written here by Simeon and
Right.
Jonathan Tarr, does not apply. And in fact, I don't think it's even
It's-
a legal issue.
And you're exactly right, the way it was written. We're not gonna write it that way. We're just using it as a reference because they own land. It's a contiguous tract. And just like we did in the zoning for PD and less than 1 acre.
When you get a chance, Scott's got a question.
Walk that way.
Let me see if I can cut to the chase here.
Yeah,
Okay.
Let me see what I'm hearing as the secretary. What I'm hearing is, Dale, you're not trying to use the mother tract to exert control over
Right.
the land that's not in the town. But if you use the mother tract to call more people ag, that gives people more freedom.
Correct.
Because now there's, ag would be the least restrictive
Least
zoning
restrictive use
classification.
classification.
And if they want to do something different on the land that's in the town, they're going to have to get that part of the land in the town rezoned, which puts it into the
As
system.
long as
Is
you're
that-
out there living your life and doing your thing, do your thing. The minute you want to change it, you
Okay.
have to come to us.
Does the town have the authority to base zoning on land, contiguous lands outside
No.
the town?
And
We're
that's
not.
the next question.
We
Yeah.
can't
And that's
zone.
where we need legal clarification.
so,
on this.
so my question is,
We can't
why
zone that.
are we doing
No,
this?
I'm not saying you're out zoning that, I'm saying that you're basing
I-
these 40 acres with this little patch that's in the town. You're zoning this patch basically because of all this that's not in the
And the
town.
minute that
What authority does
changes,
that have, the town have to
Yeah.
say, okay, just because you have 40 acres, we're gonna zone this, when none of that is in the town?
because that's part of your state, that's part of the contiguous mother tract. That's the only reason. Understand, we've got such a weird town.
Oh, yeah.
We gotta think outside the box. And so let's just go through the whole scenario when you see all the pieces and be thinking about it. And then we're gonna come back next month and deal with it. But you're right, it is, one thing that we're learning about the zoning and trying to enforce it is the zoning ordinance is not achieving what was originally intended, was leave us alone, do your thing on whatever you've got. Okay, and that's why in one sense, we're trying to simplify that by taking all these other issues out. It's gonna be a whole lot easier to enforce if someone tries to do something on ag land that's not allowed, okay, versus they're doing something that, you know. So, think of it this way, if we take ag, and let's say 40 acres and up, 20 acres and up, whatever you want. Okay, so 20 acres and up, that covers a lot of people with the mother tract. So we've taken care of the true farmers and ranchers. Mhm. Do we take care of all of them? Probably not. There's always going to be, but do we get most of them? Okay, then, okay, who's next in town? People like us that came in the 70s and 80s and 90s, right? And why did you come to poetry?
Oh, well, married my husband.
Okay, why did he want to come to
Well,
poetry?
because he grew up, his upbringing was not that great, and when he got out of high school, he got a job, and then he built a house out there where I lived,
Okay,
and he put his house on the market in 2000. It sold less than 30 days, and he had bought this, and
okay,
so, and it was nothing
Yeah.
but trees.
trees,
And
okay,
so he was like, I want to be able to do whatever I want long term. So
Alright.
he winded the driveway that half a mile, and we have the
Yes.
longest water line. But I mean, it doesn't, I mean,
Alright.
it's nice because no matter what, we don't, yeah, there's neighbors, but we don't have
Sure.
neighbors. The way that our property turns and sets,
Mhm.
he's made sure there's all kinds of privacy back in there anyway. So I mean,
Living privacy.
yes, and our service sucks back there, but hey, whatever, it's okay to be disconnected from
That's
the
right.
internet because it's just
Right.
all you hear is nature and the
Because
trees and
Your age, and Brady, why did you move out here?
Well, I actually lived further out, moved closer in because we wanted more acreage
Mhm.
and we wanted it with trees.
Okay,
So that led us to poetry as opposed to moving further and further out. Because we also looked at Emory. So
we did the
poetry
same thing.
was more conveniently located.
And we moved out here because my wife grew up in the country, wanted to live in the country, wanted to raise our
Mhm.
2 kids in the country. We moved out when they were 8, 9 years old, moved out to the country. And I remember it was the 4th of July in 92 or 91. And I said, you guys have always asked for a swimming pool. I said, there it is. It was a pond.
Oh,
But our kids, they did all the things in town, all the sporting events, but they raised show pigs and 4-H, scouts. They learned how to drive the farm truck in the pasture.
mhm.
That's where they learned to drive. And so, same thing. Could I afford 150 acres? No, at the time. But we wanted a country life, and we sacrificed the shuttle back and forth to town, to schools and activities. So if we look at the ranchette people out here, it's a different crowd, and you know that, than and I don't mean this in a bad way, but the legacy families. They kind of looked at us a little funny. And now we look at the next group as a little funny, and the next group looks at everybody a little funny. But if you look at look at poetry, depending on where you draw those acre lines, the majority of the families in poetry are in a ranchette scenario. And we need to, I think, focus on what we didn't do is study the demographics of the town and do a zoning according to the demographics. If you think. So look at it that way. So if you have ag people, the big land, a lot of cattle, we don't really have too many farmers around here. It's mostly cattle and horses, really. And then ranchette. All right, after that, and let's say we drew the bottom line of a ranchette at 5 acres simply because that's what the taxing authority uses for ag. If you have less than 5, I think it's kind of hard to get at. Okay, so let's just say that for now. So 5 acres and up to whatever the bottom of the bag is. What's left? Less than 5. We've already got less than 1 acre. We got to cover those people, and we did. So now now let's look at 2 to 5 acres, or 2 to 4.99 acres. What do we want to call that group?
And that's why you have single family or single family
Estate.
estates.
Or yeah, it's kind of, exactly. Maybe we kick out single family, that's an estate. And in a sense, anything over an acre to 4.9 acres, that's kind of an estate.
What's the difference?
Why do you move to poetry for less than 5 acres? Let's talk, why did they move here? They wanted what? Maybe to have a couple horses in a barn?
Well, or, depending when you came, but some people, they wanted to come to the country just so they're not in the city. That all they can afford is that less than 1 acre and to slap a mobile home on it.
That's right. Those are people that came here after the year 2000 when land got expensive.
But for them, but some people
it's
also, but some people for them, that's the life. They want a simple home, somewhere to live, and they've got their land and they're away from the city.
Yeah.
So some people, that
want
would be a
privacy.
reason why they would come for that less than an acre, because hey, I've got my nice grass and all this out here, and I can put my mobile home on it, and I don't have the city life.
Right.
So
if you look at that, think about it now. So if you look at the less than 1 acre, and primarily that's a dead zoning, it's only grandfather zoning, less than 1 acre, you have more than an acre and less than 5 as an estate, fair enough. Then you have the ranchettes, and then you have the ag.
Your
Have
big
we
property
not
owners.
better covered the needs of everyone in poetry?
Well, I thought what we talked about was if it's 1 acre up to 5, it's single family, or anything less than 5.
We can
In
call
other
it
words, with the single family estate is what's got us into so many problems.
Can I ask what the
But
difference
just-
between that is? What's the difference?
Just add, I'm sorry,
We just want to know what the difference is,
What
basically,
is
of
it?
making it an estate.
What's the difference in single family, single
Just,
families?
I mean,
Is it just?
Acreage was the main.
you're right. We could call it single family, or we call it single family.
Because I think my personal situations, I have 4.75, 4.76.
That,
I wish I could call mine a ranch because that's how I treat my property. Because I have the viewpoint of ranch. I have 1 horse and a 3-horse stall, and I would love to live that lifestyle. But that I think single family estate, kind of she's saying a single family kind of gives me that 1 acre is kind of the I just want my own little private part of land versus single family estate.
Yeah.
Kind of like you guys are saying. It sounds
and
like-
understand right now, and because you're exactly right, right now what we're doing, we're attaching names to all this. That may not necessarily be the last name we give it, but we attach a name so we know what we're talking about.
Mhm.
But you're right, we could easily take the less than 1 acre, call it single family.
well,
And then call single family estate, ranchettes.
we've already called it PD.
No, that's PD, single family less than an acre. We haven't really given it a name.
Yeah, we did, that's what we talked about last time.
But we described it, we gave a definition, but we haven't given it a name. We didn't give it a name. I had notes. And in fact, we need a name. That's my notes.
We got back and forth and we never agreed on anything.
We didn't agree with the name.
It's the land that's grandfathered in though.
Grandfather, less than an acre.
The PD one though, you're talking about is the ones that have the deed restrictions.
Deed restrictions,
So that
correct.
we haven't given the single family PD, which are the grandfathered, there hasn't been an official name
Well, it would have a number.
or, yeah, it would have a number because we need to make sure
It
the
would be
PD
PD 101, PD
for the
128.
divisions.
Whatever, so there would be, because each file would have the deed restrictions that
Coordinate
with that number. Okay, so in one sense, we could go see this, 1 acre or less, we could call that single family,
Okay, well, I think that's what I wrote down,
okay? Then we have single family estate,
which would be your 1 to 5
uh,
or 4 point.
greater than 1 to 4.99.
Okay,
And then we would have ranchette, 5 to where 20, 30, 40, whatever we decide, or the council decides.
But
But
there's-
we'll make a
and then
recommendation.
ag would be whatever number
Ag
it
would
is.
be from there up. So think about it. If you look at, we'd have, other than PD 1, 2, 3, 4, no, 1, 2, 3, 4. We'd have 5 classifications that are primary. Now, we still got the upper one, the business, but we would have
7.
take everything to 5 classifications. And it's more consistent with the people that moved here.
What do you envision the main difference being between ranchette and estate?
I
I don't know.
No,
It's 1 to 4.99.
I think we're talking about obviously acreage classifications and sizes, and just, the point that he brought up,
of course.
he's like, well, is that gonna limit me if I'm
No.
estate or?
No, you're exactly right.
That's kind of what
So,
my concern is.
A single, a ranchette, are in our description, just like they read here, like you read in this little definition thing, is probably gonna have a barn, some outbuildings in ranchette, a nice house, and you're allowed all the animals to,
That sounds anybody in one of the 5.
huh?
Instead of paint booth and dog kennel.
Well, it's kind of like, see, for my existence on my property right now is I have a house and a shop and a 3-horse stall, so I already have 3 structures right there.
Okay.
And that's, all of that is within 2 acres of my property.
Okay.
That's not touching the other 2.
And understand, the reason why that's okay with horses is why? Because you have stalls.
Yes.
You're not running them out. 'Cause if you had 4 acres and 3 horses, you wouldn't have an inch of grass anyway. Because so that's what happens now. We decide on these classifications and then we build the classification. You're in that scenario of, let's call it ranchette, in a ranchette scenario, not ranchette, a estate. Estate scenario, you're still allowed to have animals. And we'll have to put in, there's all kinds of language where, you can check with the agriculture county agent and they'll give you the standard animal load rates. And we'll draw that in to the estates and the ranchettes, okay? And the ag, they're already doing that anyway.
Ag's
I don't know anybody that is running more cows than they have grass. You're asking for trouble.
So I don't see anybody having a ranchette. It's single-family estate. That covers it. In other words, to me, we're getting too many classifications. It's gonna make it confusing that we're already
And
having
we didn't look at our
confusion.
demographics. That's why.
Well, we're already getting rulings on the different things people wanna do. We're already have too much confusion. I mean, you know that. That's what we're trying to get rid
That's why
of,
we're
is the
trying to
confusion.
Tighten up.
But I'm saying you're making it more confusing, not less.
I do kind of, I'm sorry, I know I shouldn't be talking. Part of me agrees that like too weedy and getting too in the weeds. Like there's an Elon Musk quote of the best part is no part. And that's the way he operates his company. Is like if you I understand both sides, but in his argument, it almost would be with a town our size. Like if we're planning for growth, then it's better to have more options. But if we're not planning on growing our city anytime soon, it's almost better to have single family ranchettes and ag. So I don't know, just food for thought.
But see, under each classification, we can have a description of what you can do there. And then again, if you're ag or ranchette, yeah, you can do things, but what we wouldn't want is commercial hog farms or chicken farm or anything like that. You're allowed to have chickens. But we might say if you were ranchette, and we're all kind of ranchette people, how many of you have roosters?
Well, I guess that's the point, is if there's so few people that are gonna have over 5 acres in the town, why even bother?
It's the mother trap.
Well, I think that Dave Berman already pretty well wiped that off, that we gotta get rid of that. That was my understanding.
Well, it was in the zoning ordinance.
I'm not saying it what was, I'm saying
No.
what we got going forward.
I understand.
Is that, I think what I understood is it's a meaningless thing, and we talked about it.
Okay, so what you're saying is we have no ag in town.
In town.
There's a handful of people that have more than 5 acres in town. So we don't have any ag. Is that what you're saying?
We have very few people
Okay.
with more than 5 acres
All
in
right.
town, that's for sure.
Because it's 5 acres. Okay, if ag is 5 acres, there's very few people that own several hundred acres that are ag in town. So let's scratch ag off. Ranchette, I have 10 acres. I have a little over 2 acres in town. Scratch it off. Now you have a single family estate. It's 2.5 acres. I don't even meet single family estate. Scratch it off. We're all single family or single family less than an acre.
That's right.
That's how we started. That's how
And
this whole thing started. When we wiped out Mother Track, we said, okay, people less than an acre, then there's basically
Now,
a single family description, then an ag, and that was where we were at.
All right, so think of it. Is that going to stop, discourage, or make it more difficult for developers?
Well, let me make a point. You're probably gonna shoot me for this.
Make it.
It don't matter because you ain't got nobody here to enforce this. Nobody's gonna stop a developer with a red tag, a ticket. Nothing.
Let's pretend.
So it
You're
doesn't matter.
preaching to the choir.
Let's pretend.
You're preaching to the choir.
This is the
That's-
future.
But this is P and Z.
I
Now,
get that. I'm just saying.
First, understand.
No,
Y'all can't even
No,
afford
and I
somebody in the
agree.
future to
But
be
you're-
an
Rob,
enforcer.
I agree, you
Right,
have to go
you're
to
exactly
court.
right.
The town would have to go to court to do anything, and
Right,
we're
but
not
we
gonna
don't
do
have-
that,
Right, so,
because we can't afford it.
so honestly, I get
No,
why we do this, but we're 5, 6 years even down the road for that to even possibly happen.
Well,
But,
That's
so
true.
we can't enforce our
pick me.
anything, so
That's right.
what's the point of having anything?
Okay, but to your,
Sorry.
you're
No,
exactly right.
no, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was
That's why
being
we have a
silly.
survey.
Mhm.
We're going there.
So you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Now,
Well, I'm going to take that a step further, and again, no one's going to like hearing this, but can this group sit here and we can go over classifications and mother tracks or not mother tracks? We could do all of this stuff, and ultimately we are hamstrung by the map.
bingo.
And that's this whole argument. One side of the table is the map, one side of mother tracks.
Yeah.
So
So
what is legally permissible?
right,
Well, and it's more than just that, it's the town versus ETJ,
right,
which is,
right.
I mean, the map is kind of just,
Well, because
makes
even with the ag that Dale is talking about here, let's just, for example, we use the mother tract. Someone has 200 acres and they've got a 4-acre strip that's in the town limit, but they're ag because
Of the mother.
of the
tract.
mother tract. A developer can buy that
Mhm.
and they can change the 4 acres to whatever they want
But
to
they
build.
have to come to us and ask permission.
But
That's the difference.
But what would the legal standing be to say no?
What could you stop?
What could
stop?
you stop?
Well, you could. What depends on what they want to do.
Well, we want to
They
build
wanna
our
do-
driveway, and we want to have a fancy fountain, and we want to have we're going to put our gym
Right.
up
But
there on that, so we
Okay.
made it zoned whatever.
Clubhouse, right?
But they can
right.
do whatever they want on the remaining 196
You're
acres.
exactly right.
Well, then we say, no, you can't do the clubhouse, can't do that, and they say, fine, we're gonna build a pond and
Yeah.
a sidewalk.
Well, the one
Exactly.
thing we can prevent, so I don't know
Alright.
if Cody's brought this up yet, is we control the roads, therefore we control the entrances. So what our zoning is preventing is putting an entrance to, you can't put a neighborhood in if you don't have an access to it. So the one
We're
thing
co-
is, sorry.
Well, understand what we don't have yet, and we're working on. We don't have a development agreement. We don't have development guidelines yet.
Okay.
That's why we got to fix zoning first.
Okay.
Then we write development guidelines, and that's where all of that's going to come in.
Okay.
Entry elements, fencing.
So right now, what we talk about is driveways.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, but
that's rudimentary.
Understand, this is something everybody needs to understand. As council members and the council, the governing body, we have a zoning ordinance, okay? It's not great. A lot of problems, and we've tested it, and we tested it in the field, and we tested it on the computers. We got some problems.
we agree with that.
We agree with that. But Tom and
Much
I,
further.
and 3 other people understand. We have a fiduciary responsibility to run this town, and who is our client? Y'all. We've got to run this town. An ordinance is a law. We got to enforce the ordinances.
I know all about that.
You know all about it. You're making a living doing it.
Mhm.
Okay, so understand where we're at. You're all right, and this is all frustrating. I get it. But we have a fiduciary responsibility to fix it right now. Now, what happens later on, what the citizens tell us in this, we may be talking about a lot of different things down the road. But right now, we have a zoning ordinance. Our job is to fix it. And that's our job. We kind of have to put our blinders on.
Well,
It
wait,
may
wait,
all be for naught.
wait a minute, let's define fix it, because in my mind, what fix it is all these problems we've run into when people want to split up land or do different things.
Mhm.
And so in my view, when we're saying fix it, that means simplify it so that when we run into these things in the future, we don't have all these issues that
When
we
you
can't resolve. And now you're making it more difficult to
Because
resolve.
by keeping it simple, the developer will walk all over you.
Well,
And we've already tested it, and it says it, high risk items.
That's not the issue. The issue is how can we make it simpler so people don't have to have a lawyer interpret our zoning? They can read it, see it, and
We don't want-
understand it.
We
That's what we started out wanting to do.
want to fix it where the citizens don't have to have an attorney. The developers
That's
do.
what I'm saying.
The developers do, not the attorney, not the citizens.
We're not.
We have citizens that can't interpret.
But developers
council
aren't
we can't
gonna
interpret.
buy into this strip around the town. They'll buy into the ETJ, and that's not something we can control anyway, just like Bishop Field. So we
So
focus
should our
on the part,
recommendation be, let's abolish zoning?
we focus on what we can control, which is
Why?
that 311 feet each side of the road. And so
And
what
that
do we
doesn't
need to do to
protect us
that?
from anything.
Which is to get rid of all the single family estate and all those others, to make it real simple. It goes up to 5 acres, they can split off an acre, as long as you can't have less than an acre
Right.
of property. And they just keep it simple like that. So
I
that's what we
challenge
started
every one
off
of you, I'll challenge every one of you to take a day and go drive to Parker, Texas. They have done exactly what we're doing here. Okay?
they're working with different
But
maps.
let me tell you something, and this is why it works. You will not find a single gas station in Parker, Texas. Parker, South Fork Ranch. You know what I'm talking about. Okay? Go up there and just drive it. Just drive it, clear your brain, look at it, and you think, where's the gas station? Where's Kroger?
That's corner 1378, is that Parker there?
No. If it's got commercial,
it's
no.
Coming out of Wiley, it's right there on the edge, so that commercial development maybe.
That's what they did. They took Parker, no commercial. If you drive around that area and you stop at a gas station, you're not in Parker.
But if Parker had the map like we have, then they could have.
But they don't.
No.
They have a more typical geography.
We have a dumpster fire.
So,
It's what
and,
we
and I
have.
I completely
You
understand
got
what you're saying.
a donut with a hole in the middle.
Lots of holes, Swiss cheese.
That's what I said, the
So
dumpster
what,
is
you,
on
what,
fire.
what he's saying, and going back to the whole mother track, yeah, that simplifies a lot of things. If we can take 5 acres and 8 acres or 20 acres and be able to look at it as a whole, but we keep on getting stumps, we keep on stumbling on what is in the town.
We gotta take this back to the people. We need to be protecting the citizens, not, and the whole idea initially was protect us from the developers, protect us, there's nothing in this that protect us from the developers.
So can I ask him real quick? Because I think there's two different perspectives going on. Is you want things simple, and I understand that, but we're actually agree with him on this. Is it's not the simplicity for the citizen. We are trying to protect us from the developers. So what we need is we're creating a bottleneck, or they stop. I think the stopgap is what we use in the corporate world, where we're the stopgap. The city's the stopgap. So we do want to create an actual pretty tight bottleneck where citizens do have to come to the city to get approval. But the thing is, as long as we know they're not a developer and it's like, hey, you're a landowner, we just automatically say yes. That's where the simpleness comes from. Is the city, from my perspective, it creates a tight bottleneck. That way, we're vetting out. It gives us the ability to actually make sure we're vetting out the developers and not the citizens. So we essentially, if citizens say, I want to build this, cool, awesome. And then the other perspective, and I think this is going to be a legal terminology thing when it comes to the mother track versus what falls under our authority is if we just change the verbiage in whatever document saying properties that as a whole are this size of property, has this classification in our zoning doc, but if we phrase it a certain way, it doesn't mean that we're trying to control that whole parcel. We can only control the parcel that is 311 feet from the thing. But if the city or the property as a whole is this specific size, as recognized by our city, it falls under this zoning classification. Doesn't mean we have the authority over the entire.
But you're being classified as that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the
We
question
need
I'm
to-
going back to is can we classify even though it's not in the town?
I don't see why we couldn't, as long as talk to the lawyer about this, but as long as in the documents, we're not saying that we're trying to control that parcel.
We're not, right?
But just
Fair.
because your
Definition.
property extends,
Yes, it's the property.
And
as a
the
whole.
one-
we're recognizing your property
Under one
extends that makes
contiguous
you.
ownership,
Yes, it's one property owned by one person, and so
one entity.
yes, because different sized properties have different responsibility, different uses, I guess, if you will. I mean, you can't just exist like, you can't pretend you can't pretend that the whole entire property doesn't exist. It does.
Yeah.
And so we're recognizing the property as a whole, but it doesn't mean that we're trying to control
The whole.
the whole property. So
it's meaningless.
No, it's not.
What's meaningless?
Outside the town limits, it's meaningless to say anything. They're gonna do whatever they want, just like we're finding at Bishop Field. So we can only stop at 311 feet or whatever the boundaries are, and what can we do inside that? Outside that 311 feet, it's meaningless to do anything.
No, it's meaningful because we control what's in that tract.
No, we don't. We went through
Inside
this with
town.
Bishop Field, and the answer is
Because we
no.
offer no services.
We can't stop the entry, we can't stop the development,
We
we
can
can't stop
only
anybody from
tell them
crossing
how to
over.
build an
I
entry
have
and
a
they
question.
cross.
Sorry, Scott.
No, I wanted to ask a question. Okay, let's just say we do this.
Guys, this is a good discussion.
Yeah, let's.
I'm not upset.
No, yeah, I'm not
Very
either.
good. This is what every property owner
If-
has done over coffee.
Right. Well, let's just say I buy 200 acres worth of land and I'm an individual
Mhm.
and I come to the town, I need to make a zoning change, or I buy the same 200 acres and I'm an LLC and I come to the town and I want to make a change. If I apply for a change, on what basis would you say no? Based on whether I'm an LLC or an individual, like what legally can you
Okay,
can't,
well,
right?
now
I mean,
what happens on ag, let's say you've got that 200 acres of ag with the mother tribe, because it's contiguous. All right, the only portion in the town is that 3 acres.
Mhm.
Okay, you want to come in and do something with that 3 acres. What do you want to do? Well, I want to build 1 acre lots. They would have to come in, one for a zoning change, site plan approval. Okay? And they could. In theory, you could have a bunch of houses out in front of your farm.
But if they do it according to the zoning, there's no way
But
the
they have
town
to-
can say no just because I'm
Right.
a developer. You can't tell me no.
Right,
That's correct.
right.
Right.
But if you want to go to 1 acre, or you want to go to 2 acre, or estate lots, you can.
But ultimately,
But you have to change zoning, and you
right.
have to come for approval.
Exactly. But ultimately, if I follow the zoning ordinance,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what I want to do, no matter who I am, no matter whether I'm an LLC, a developer, a chicken farmer, no matter who I am, if I follow the ordinance, I can do it.
You can do it.
So you're not restricting anybody from
You're-
doing anything.
You get to live your
ultimately.
life the way you have lived your life.
Right. So you're not restricting anybody ultimately because as long as I follow the
No,
ordinance.
Ultimately, this is what happens.
Okay.
So
This
what
is
if the
what-
developer, yes, has the 200 acres, say Scott buys 200 acres and he wants to develop 1 acre lots along the road that are within zoning. And it's
And he
all,
comes and asks permission.
it's
we get it.
approved, stamp, let's do it.
Okay?
Well, then the rest of the land behind there, you know what? I'm gonna capitalize on this and we're gonna do high density.
Mm-hmm.
What does it matter?
He could do it.
So we're back to,
You're still getting to run amok.
So we prevented mass housing along our streets of what we own. Well, like
maybe a 1,000 foot of road.
Yeah,
Right.
but at the same time, this isn't
Right. But then, and this is where it is. You got to look at it like we control the front door. That's all we control. So
Yeah,
You're-
but, yeah,
I know, but it's poetry. Unfortunately, this is what we're living with, and we have a fiduciary
Well, it-
responsibility.
I mean-
Right. But
I
it's
feel
kind of
like-
like the concrete crusher on 276, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants that there. No citizen wants that there. But it's like Bishop Field. They apply for the permit. If they dot all their I's, cross all their T's, fill out the permit properly, pay the fee, TCEQ can't say you can't
No.
do that just because we don't want you
A ton of
to.
people showed up to the meeting
Well,
and it
they-
didn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
The only thing that controls them is the septic, is that they're putting in their own massive septic.
Right.
If they put in individual houses, they would have to put in individual septic.
Nothing less
And
than
That's-
that.
that's a
be
county
individual.
issue, or
Right.
state issue,
Right.
not ours.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's the only control over density.
Mhm.
But there's
You're
getting
exactly
around
right.
that through putting in the big sewer system.
Right.
But to get a sewer system, to get a mud, you don't come to municipality. Where do you go? Austin.
Right.
So it takes
Well,
us-
It's out of our, it's out of our
Well, but
hands.
Wildwood worked. They went to Austin and
They went to
Wildwood.
Austin.
They got it done, and that's just so you know that property, that Wildwood, that
Mhm.
lot that they had built now, phase one,
Mhm.
is almost exactly the same size as my property. I went back and counted. It's got 196 houses, and if you back off the road 311 feet, you lose 5.
Right.
191 houses.
And what did they use for half the land on the frontage?
Retention.
Retention bond.
Right. So,
I get it. I
Yeah.
get it.
okay.
I think we're all on the same page, but now our problem is, right now, what do we recommend to town council?
Well, we started off making it simple. And simple means keep it 1 acre. You have to have a minimum of 1 acre, and that's probably for septic reasons. if
Yeah,
nothing else. But then up to 5 acres or whatever, it's still 1 acre. And then at some point.
And that's only what's in the town.
Right, but we don't get into this 2.5 acre, which is
Right.
what caused us so many
Mhm.
problems in zoning that we had to get around.
And we're getting rid of it in this scenario too.
That's right. And
So
so,
we're taking the 2.5 acre minimum on all those other classifications. We're getting rid of
and
it.
so go up to 5 acres.
Simplify.
And then don't worry about ranchettes or whatever.
The only thing is then, the bigger gain out of this, and we all know this has happened, is with the ag zoning, is you can't do anything without first coming and talking to the town on that 3 acres, 5 acres, whatever you have in the town. You have to come talk to them. Right now, they could split it up to 2.5 acres and go do whatever they want to do.
Well, basically, that's what they're doing anyway.
That's what they're
Because
doing
we're
anyway.
not gonna stop them.
Because now the zoning would be ag, and you can't do anything on that ag, because you're changing the use that is no longer ag, because we met the minimum acreage is 5.
But if they come to the town, we're gonna grant it.
Well, depends.
Well,
You
Give
can't
me all the
not.
scenarios, and then I'll try to give you all the different answers.
But if
Right.
if they're following the ordinance, you can't not grant it, is what Tom
well,
was saying.
and even
Right.
Mr. Berman said that you have to go along with the property owners. Now, unless there's a
Leesburg
technical
is the
reason
property owner.
that the property owners, they're gonna get what, if they split it,
Oh,
say the Jack split the first front acres into 5 1-acre lots, and then the rest of the 40
But if
acres
they're,
is
if
an
it's on
ETJ.
ag, they
And it's,
can't, we could say no.
but we won't.
Well, we may not, we don't know.
Well, but
We
here-
talk at
but
this
it's
council, but
still-
what about the council 10 years from now?
still is gonna boil down to the fact,
Mhm.
it don't matter if you tell them no or not. They know you don't have no authority to come to make them not do what they wanna do.
Well, and as proof of that is look at the places that are being built now that never came to the town. There's places all over this where you see construction.
Oh,
and they
I
didn't
know.
come to
There's
us
And why did that happen?
No, I mean.
Because
nobody
they didn't
brought those
know.
stores.
Or we didn't enforce it?
Well,
Well, but we didn't enforce it and they didn't know and we're not stopping them. And there's a bunch of places
All right,
being
so
built.
let's
it's
just,
all 23
so let's just
26
do away,
gotta
let's
go
do
to
away with
cemetery.
zoning.
Well, and
That-
unfortunately,
that a better reason?
okay, unfortunately, to Tom's point, unfortunately, the people who did come and are trying to do it right are the ones who are getting punished. And the people who are
Not anymore.
not doing it, they're just doing what they want to do, are getting to do what they want to do. That it's having a counter effect. I hate to say.
Right.
I'm not pointing any fingers and throwing any mud. I'm just saying that's
I
the
know.
way
Well,
it's
and I'm
That's a
not
fact,
either,
yeah.
but
Yeah,
I'm
so-
just stating the fact, just like 2 years ago, I think it was, when people started talking about they were gonna send out violations for people's property or not being good. And that's when I said in that council, you're not doing nothing. You got no authority to
No
do that.
authority,
You have
yeah.
no enforcement to do nothing. And people know that, so they come to a little meeting, you could tell them no, and they'll be like, oh, What you gonna do about it?
Well,
Because there's nothing to back it
Or
up. and
even-
they
do you
know
know
that.
where the
The
sand
Roman-
pit is on 1565, the big sand pit? That land used to be a huge, I grew up around here, that land used to be a huge horse and cattle pasture. And when it was sold, the people who bought it, they sent a cute young woman out here to talk up the owner, and they were going to keep the cows and the horses, and everything was going to be lovely. And he was an older fella, and he sold it to her, and the ink wasn't dry on the contract. And in came the bulldozers and the excavators. They did whatever they wanted. Is the point? So and nobody stopped them. You know what's
But that's the thing, though. We don't have any authority, and I know that we
Right.
don't have the funds for that to make a court and all that.
We
But I
don't even
mean,
have a court.
well,
right.
That's the first step.
well, I'll
we
be
have to have a
honest, you
court.
don't even have a proper
Enforcement.
board of adjustments.
AR,
So I mean,
We're working on that.
I know you're working on it. I'm just saying, people, not everybody, but your people that want to do stuff and know that there's an issue about what they're wanting to do, they need to come see you. But on the other hand, they can do whatever, and then you tell them
Oh, we
no,
have
and they're
no
like,
enforcement
well,
officer.
who are they? They're not going to stop me from doing whatever
Right.
because they have no enforcement, and they know that because I'm the one that broadcast that before, because when they thought they were going to do something they
Yeah,
legally
look.
could not do.
Our big problem is this red map.
Yeah.
Well, and this is every discussion we end up in this,
We
In
wouldn't be
this
talking
place,
about
and
this if
we
we didn't
don't-
have it.
and we don't get anywhere. So what we've gotten off track, but what we need to know is whether we're doing 3 classifications or 5 is legally, do we need to be including the mother track back into the document or not? Do
I,
we need to be going with what's in the town or what the contiguous
I do have a
site is?
question that I think you would know the answer to. Tom, do not fall out of your chair or go off on me. I'm just asking.
I'll let you
if
tell
it's-
not to talk.
No, I'm just asking because I don't know the answer, and I think Bill would. Question. That hot mess of a map over there.
Mhm.
If the town disincorporated, and then later, could there be, if the town was disincorporated, could it later
Yes.
be reincorporated and the map not look like a dumpster fire?
Yes.
Well,
Okay.
depends on how much
There's
you're
a
gonna
there's
pay.
a
There's a couple
there's a
year wait.
3-year waiting
Yeah,
period. If you
there's a wait.
disincorporate, you cannot apply for reincorporation for 3 years.
But in that meantime, like if we did do that,
A citizen.
and then
group
that
to
gives
get
the
organized.
time to get organized and get a map that doesn't look like a dumpster fire and cause so many issues for our citizens in this
So
town.
let's just do a
And then it
huge
could be a
annexation,
proposal.
take that to a vote.
But because of the density requirements, it'd be a much smaller area.
Ooh.
In other words, it'd be brought, for example, around this area here, but it wouldn't be encompassing all the land that we have here now. It'd be a very small
I
area,
agree, Tom.
because it's density requirements by the state law.
I get that. I didn't know about if we disincorporated and then we waited, were we able to
You could.
reincorporate with a map that looked a heck of a lot better and made
Mhm.
more sense?
Well, and you have a valid point there, because the map.
It's
This is
causing
one
issues.
citizen talking here. I'm not on the council. This is just me talking. The map has more implications than just planning and zoning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taxation. It would be
It's gonna be unfairly burdened on.
Exactly.
So
The
like,
next
for
time
example-
we come and do that, the first thing we're all gonna ask for is, show me the damn map.
right.
Well, yeah, but I
We
mean,
didn't know
right,
anything.
but like,
We, in our wildest dreams,
Yeah.
right, well, and
and I've
like,
been in real estate 50 years, and in my wildest dreams, I didn't think this was gonna be it. I didn't
well,
bother to
but
look.
that's the thing also, like Scott's saying, let's say, if we did have a map that made a lot more sense, but right now, the way the map is, let's say, for example, if it's put on the ballot for us to have a property tax of 50 cents, all that, that's not gonna, across the board town-wise, is not going to be fair. Because like for me, mine's just
The
empty
only way it's
grass.
fair is if your entire mother tract is taxed.
Right, but that can't happen because of the ETJ,
Right.
but the people that literally have their home right off the road,
Right.
they're gonna pay
The
so much
lion's
in
share
tax
of the tax.
opposed to
Yeah.
people like me that
And the
only
portion
has.
of that property that's in the town, it will not produce enough tax to,
Well, what's it gonna cost me, $100 if that?
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
Well,
And then-
mine's ag. It's going to cost pennies a year. The part of my property that is in
Right.
town is very small.
Yeah.
It's going to cost. It's probably going to cost less than $1.
Right.
But my neighbor across the street,
that's got the house and everything.
$30
it's going to cost him
Literally,
thousands
I
of
don't
dollars.
have ag, and my house is on 2 streets, so I'm like,
Right? Yeah. So So it's
Yeah.
going to be. It's going to be.
I mean, you take a home that's
My point is,
valued
that's back to the
$500,000,
map. It's back to the map. We're
and
hamstrung
it's
by the
in
map.
say Kaufman County,
So-
it's gonna take those taxes up.
So
I mean,
It's not gonna produce, yeah, if what you're saying is right, you're exactly right. It's not gonna produce enough money to do anything.
it's
anymore.
just gonna hurt the people that actually
We're
have a
all
house in
gonna
the
write a
town.
$50 check every year.
Well,
We'll
except
see.
the ones with that house.
Well, the house, yeah.
Those, cause it's
So-
the value, so
And
it's
who
gonna
are the
be,
people that live closest to the road? The
The
least
banker.
affluent people in the town.
So what's that, Tom? What's that, Tom? You said you were about to make a point. I think.
Me?
Yeah, I think you were. Oh no. Okay. All right.
Well, yeah, my point was a while ago, we didn't get into this. I was never in favor of the zoning. I didn't vote for it.
Yeah.
My wife was sick.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hear it.
No,
But I didn't like the zoning to begin with.
Yeah.
Period.
so I guess my other question is, not that I'm pushing for this, I'm asking for knowledge, understanding and all that, because like I said, that map is just the nightmare that this town has, is that map. So you answered my question earlier that yes, you can disincorporate, you have to wait 3 years. In the meantime, there could be a
and there's a
committee.
long process to do that.
So, but how costly is it to disincorporate?
I think it's basically, and don't quote me on this, because I think it's basically a petition, 400 signatures, and put it on the ballot.
Well, but technically, it goes into receivership, just like a bankruptcy.
Mhm.
And the court appoints a receiver that
Okay.
takes care of all this furniture and the house and everything else. So it's basically the
We
receiver
have to have a
that
garage
is
sale.
the
Well,
town council and
But
everything.
what
Right.
also is gonna get, not that I'm saying that this is what we need to do. I'm just asking because if that could be a better long-term thing to do, to end up with a map that makes a heck of a lot more sense. But by you saying that with the receiver and all that, the problem with that is, which I damn sure didn't agree with this and thought there was a little crookedness going on with it. But it's written in the documents that if for some reason this building is moved off this property, then it's no longer town property. It goes back to TARP.
Well, we
And the
can't-
value is way more now than it was
well,
when she
we-
gave it
I
to
mean,
the town.
This is what we gotta do tonight, guys.
The church gate.
You're right.
Oh, no. It's written,
It's
if
a
this
map.
moves, she
It's
gets,
another
she
map.
gets the property back at a greater value. because
But I
of
feel
it
that
being
if we ever get to that point, that's a minor mess.
Compared to.
I want that door. No.
I'm just saying the land value is more now because there's been septic and so there, it has its own extra perks now. And when that was written and done, I was like, that is a no. You don't do
But
that,
again,
but
let's,
that's gonna be something
what,
else.
what you're saying, what everybody has said is true. But let's pull it all back in. We're right now, fiduciary responsibility to rewrite the zoning board.
That we can't enforce.
That won't work. No. But again, committee, if y'all want to, let's write it up, make a recommendation to the council right now. Or we keep doing what we're doing.
I guess my question with that, so y'all probably be able to tell me this. So the November ballot, that's still a few months away. So let's say we have this meeting at the end of the month, the town hall, we have the survey, and after that, those two events,
You-
they decide, hey, we want to put it on the ballot or have the
Our
400.
deadline to get it on the ballot for the November
Is
election
when?
is August something, 12th or
Oh,
something
we
like
won't
that.
make that then.
You can't make it, but you have another election in May, and then you have,
I was just asking, I mean,
I know, but you're right.
I'm just trying to think of all the
November
other
is
things
out of
I've heard
question.
people talk about and saying, so I'm just like, okay, so this is information, I don't know. I'm sure this is information they would like to know, so that's why I'm asking.
That's why
that.
we're having that meeting on the 28th to try to answer those questions for them. It's a mess. I mean, guys, this is government.
Yeah.
It's convoluted mess because we have state law and we have municipal law ordinances
And county.
and county.
2 counties.
So,
Two counties.
Technically 3 if you wanted.
Technically.
you can tell me to screw up and this is an after conversation.
No.
but why are we bound by streets? Like, is there something in our core documents that we can't change to
What?
be able to change it, our existence, if you will, of our city property from?
Well, I think what happens, let's say you wanted to take big chunks out, just incorporate half of it. Then changes our classification. Right now, we're type A municipality. We may become a type C or a home rule, whatever. I don't know all of that, but things like that would happen. So yeah, we could shrink it
Well, I'm not saying, I'm saying growing.
He's saying grow.
Why
Yeah.
could we not?
You're getting into
because
annexation.
we can't, because of
Yes.
the ETJ law. Effectively, you can't have an adverse incorporation or an adverse annexation.
You have to have the consent of the owners, and
But this-
generally speaking, if someone's going to consent to join the town, well, they may ultimately get taxed someday, and the town's not offering any services. There's no compelling reason to do that.
Yeah.
You're not going to get police protection, fire protection,
the-
sewer. You're not going to get any of those.
The
things.
reason why
So-
a town would go out into the ETJ and buy land, and then they come to the city, okay? Why do they come to the city? Because the city's got fire, police, water, sewer. You want to come into the town, because if you don't have a town to come into with services, you got to go do a mud. You got to build a package plant, sewer plant on your property, just like Bishop Field, just like Wildwood, and all of those. So that's why we offer no services. That's why we really have no control over the ETJ.
The only compelling argument we
And
have is
Anybody right now, you can fill out a petition and within 3 weeks be out of your land that's in the ETJ could be removed from the ETJ.
And what is that's a long.
That's Senate Bill 2380 something.
So here at TJ all the time, but I'm not super familiar with. I'll have to ask.
And about, I would think we're probably pushing 3,000 acres have been removed from the town, from the town's ETJ.
And the ETA is just a further distance from the street.
Well,
sorry.
but back then, when all these people were removing their property, it was kind of put out there, they were understanding that the town it was gonna have control over their ETJ. So they all filled out the petition and had it removed, so then they wouldn't have control. Then later to find out there never was any control, and those people had already removed.
But when a town incorporates, maybe on that.
It's a
map.
it's on that. There's a
But
bubble.
as a town incorporates, from the edge of the incorporation, their ETJ goes out a half a mile in a type A municipality with the population that we're dealing with. It's a bigger population, they go out further. But for type A, new town like we were, the ETJ is 1/2 mile from the edge of the city limit. So, because 99% of us have land in town and land in the ETJ, you're allowed to remove yourself from the ETJ with a very simple petition. And that we've had 25, 30 property owners remove their property from the
Including
ETJ. So that's why that.
Really?
But ETJ was designed to, in normal towns that have a source of income, who has a source to provide services, then in a sense, if you're out there farming in the ETJ and the town is developing and all of a sudden they bring utilities and things out in the town, and you're aging out, and your kids are off and living their life, then you sell to a developer, and the developer incorporates or annex into the town to grab the services. Why would the city give those services? Because you're gonna put
Taxpayer.
$500,000 property, you know, $500,000 properties, and we have a property tax, that's chica, chica, chica. And it's just money. And so we need that money to extend those utilities, to build our roads, yada, yada, yada. And school districts, they want it too. They get paid on assessed value. So you build 1,000 houses, the school districts say, go do it. We'd love to collect the tax.
Yeah. And it puts more stress in the school.
You know,
That makes
I'll give you a classic example. I worked on the Costco store in Rockwell, okay? Went to Costco, and we offered them a $4 million tax forgiveness, or rebate, or no tax for 10 years. The first year, you got 100%, second year, you got 90%, 80, it went down to nothing. Okay, everybody said, well, why are you giving them $40 million to bring the store here and they're gonna make $1 million? But they paid $8 million for the land after it was developed with utilities. And now if you'll remember that site, there used to be a creek running through it. That creek is underground now. It's still there.
Mhm.
Okay, but it made the site usable. Okay, I don't know what the number is for the cost of that building. The school district gets a portion, they pay a property tax on that building, the parking lot, and all of that. The school district gets tax income from that store, so they want commercial development because they get more money for the schools. Costco, a typical, a Costco market is 100-mile radius. 100 people from Sulphur Springs drive to Rockwall to shop at Costco. And what else do they do? Well, let's go to Olive Garden and have lunch before we go to Costco and go home. Everybody loves it. They're paying sales tax, property tax, other businesses come because of them. And you know what the nice thing is? We collect all that tax and we don't have to educate their children, that customer's children. Great, they gotta go back to Sulphur Springs and pay their school tax over there. You see?
Yeah.
So, but that customer came from Sulphur Springs, in essence, part of that overhead cost, they're paying, in essence, they're paying that school tax in Rockwall. Or facilitating that.
Yeah.
Because they built the building. So it works both ways.
Yeah.
Okay? But other towns, when you're on an interstate or something, where we're saying no commercial development, but if you look at Fate. Why is Fate growing? Because it's on an interstate. Look at all. I bet they have built in the last year 1 million square feet, probably.
At least.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, freaking
Uh,
IKEA alone is
Figure out the taxes on 1 million square feet at, call it $200 a square foot. Ka-ching, ka-ching.
that's a 50,000.
And see, in a normal town, that's what it is. You want to build your commercial growth, you get sales tax and build your assessed value of commercial property. Okay? Then do we have to charge up the real estate tax on residential? No, because the commercial is paying for it. But we have no potential for commercial growth because our two primary roads dead end in Portrait.
Mhm.
We will never produce the traffic count or the population to make sense of commercial growth. Not in, definitely not my
I
lifetime.
was gonna say, that pusher's coming close to us at some point, whenever, depending on what alternative.
What is
route they
it?
choose. That what
Outer loop.
Outer loop.
outer loop.
It's
whenever-
looking like it's going down for a 48.
Yeah, and that's.
No, we're
that-
talking 10, 15 years out.
Well, that's the thing though, is what are we right now tonight preparing for? Preparing for near term and long term of this city's existence.
Mhm.
So we are creating the foundation, or you are creating the foundation of the city, which could be changed if theoretically we wanted to, but that's the thing, is are you guys creating a list to give to the council for the long term or the short, for the medium?
Well,
The problem is also with council is you have some that think Dale obviously is a long termer. There's no doubt about that.
long term.
But you have some that don't want to think like that or don't think like that. And like for me, yes, I'm a city worker, all that, but I love it out here, you know, all that, but I know what it's like long term. And so when I provide things for council and all that, someone's like, no, we don't even want code. And I'm like, I get that. I know you don't want it,
That's something.
but we gotta have something, cause at some point it's gonna come if you like it or not.
It's gonna nip you in the butt when you don't have it and you wish you had
And
it.
so, and for me, I think that's why it's hard for me when I come to the town halls, is because like one of our people that's on it, he works for a city. He's a damn fireman. You know, but he'll tell you he don't want to adopt no codes. And I'm like, but you know better than anybody. The other one, we retired from risk management from the city, so he knows. So we have knowledge, and then Dale's been a contractor his whole life, you know, been started when he was 8 years old. But, I
Long
mean,
termer.
yeah. So, I mean, we have people that have the knowledge of municipality, and when we speak about it, it's not that we're trying to make this town big municipality. We've just seen all the things that happen when they're not prepared. And when that's when they get in there and write those amendments to those, you know, because bad things have happened that you can't stop. So I don't really know that it's hard to answer that question, because I think that yes, we would like for the long term, but when you get talking about the long term, it freaks some of these people out, and then they reel it back in. And
Well,
we're not worried about that.
It's
You know,
more
or-
food for thought.
Or
It
let
wasn't,
them worry about it later.
it wasn't something you needed to direct hands for. It's more of just like something to think about when you are planning. I might be working. No, it's not. Oh, we'll get it later.
I think what we're doing is a little more short term because of the uncertainty of the, well, just the survey coming up and all that, the map.
Well, and yeah, and we
Stopgap.
And
We
that's what
still-
this is for a 5-year strategic plan of how we're gonna, it's one thing we sit here and waller and all this now, but what is the council gonna do in 5 years? How are they gonna pay for it?
Well,
If we
they're
don't
not-
start talking about it now, we're not gonna be ready in 5 years to meet the demand. So, again, let's get it back in. I know we're about out of time, but we have a town. It's a mess. City limits is a mess. We have a zoning ordinance. It is a mess. But we have a fiduciary responsibility to try to do something with it. I tend to want to go back to the people. And put the vision on this zoning ordinance of how do we slow down, how do we control growth from the developers? Can we stop it? We can't stop it. If anybody thinks they're gonna stop growth,
No.
show me one town.
So no.
We are in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Arlington MSA, 7.5 million people. Couple of hundred towns. Show me one town that has kept development out.
Look at Royce.
There's not one. Not one.
People trying to move out.
Yeah.
This is where people want to move.
So, we can't stop development, but what we can do is we can set it up to where we get to look at everything you're gonna do, everything you wanna try to do, and make it tough. I'll go back to Parker.
Mhm.
Go back to Parker. Go drive it. Please, 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 go drive Parker. You know what an acre of land, residential land, because that's all you can do in Parker. 1 acre residential lot in Parker, Texas. You know what you'll pay for it?
Couple $100,000,
Huh?
about $200,000.
2, 3, 350. $1,000 for an acre. So let me ask you this question. You have 38 acres, I have 10 acres, 5 acres. Let's see, 10 acres times, let's just call it 300,000. I could do that. So is that, understand, is that the way to go? Take the Parker model. I mean, you stop and think of it. You grew up out there, you've got 10, 20, 38 acres. Now all of a sudden it's worth 300,000 an acre. Are you happy or sad that you have to move? So there's all different kinds of ways we can twist this, and that's part of what we have to look at when we're looking at zoning. How are we going to accomplish that? Do we have a chance for commercial growth in poetry? Not in my lifetime. Really nothing. Okay?
So that's small mom and pop shops.
Mom and pops is as far as you're going to go.
Yeah.
You're going to take a house,
Yeah.
it's on the
In the
road.
town, in the ETJ, it's possible.
No,
That's-
because we still don't have we can't produce the traffic and we can't produce the.
But it'd be
Industrial.
not,
Well,
Retail.
not retail.
there are things going in, if nothing else. The solar panels and all of the wind farms are in that, as well as
Well, there
the
you go.
development, the Bishop Field. There's a certain amount that'll happen, but it's all gonna be in the ETJ.
But I say
Which doesn't
commercial
matter.
from a retail standpoint, commercial from a solar farm, you're right. Solar farm's coming, nothing we can do.
Does that actually happen?
Don't be, wouldn't be surprised.
It's out there on the other side of the cemetery.
Well, if anything came in the ETJ that was commercial, it's gonna be industrial
And,
manufacturing.
would-
But they
So,
come in to be
let me-
manufacturing or
But that's
warehouse.
Kaufman on that side.
and that's Kaufman County.
Can we provide city council 2 options and just give them 2 alternatives to vote on?
But that's our job. What are we gonna do?
I would almost just give them just his three or whatever, 3 category size options and give them the 5 category size option. Be like, hey, we have the 2 options. We're split. What do you guys want to do? Just let
Yeah.
the
Well, I think our goal is, what do we do with the zoning ordinance to protect the citizens?
And you want to make it appeasing to that. What we're trying to avoid is the neighborhoods of many of those single families. And it sounds like we want to more attract the single family estate size. So I don't know what I would almost personally suggest.
But a developer's gonna bring one into.
I know.
That's
And,
what
and,
they're
we don't have the enforceability for, because theoretically, if we had, you would, when it comes to categorizing things, you could enforce different, what people can do with different types of zone things. But again, to her point is, we can't really enforce it at this moment. And probably for the next 2 decades, but I don't know, I would,
Well, if we don't have a source of income, we're gonna pick, Bishop Fields has how many lots? 1,700
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you mean acreage?
lots.
Houses?
Yeah.
I think it's, now they're saying over 2,000.
Okay,
You know how
2,000
much
houses.
presentation they had?
So, we need to take care of our roads. We have no money, and we're gonna throw another 2,000 vehicles and a day trip. A day trip,
More than that.
a day trip is when you leave your house and go to town. And another day trip when you come home. And then mom goes and drops the kids off as a day trip. When she goes, picks up the kids in the afternoon, that's another day trip. Actually 2. That's 4, 5, 6. So one house will generate 6 day trips per house. So 6 times 2,000, 12,000 more day trip, 12,000 more cars. We just did a traffic count on Forestry Road in Kaufman County. 1,100 cars a day. Now throw 12,000 more cars a day
On what road though?
on Forestry Road. Or all
Well,
spread it out. It doesn't
Let's
matter.
think about
Bishop
Bishop Field,
Field.
what they're gonna throw it on.
Some of them go down 24,
Poetry.
34, towards Morse,
1565, 24, 34.
come up 24, 34 towards Terrell, some go towards,
It'll be
Rockwall.
which 24, 34.
yeah, and it's 24, 34. In 2440, they are our town
Yeah.
roads. So they're the ones that
Yeah,
we have to be responsible for keeping up. The part of 24, 34 down past to Munson,
that'd be
That's
great.
a
Yeah,
county.
it's a source of
Yeah.
income. We have no income.
Well,
It costs $1 million a mile to build a mile of county road.
well, that's to totally redo the surface, so.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, rebuild the road.
So-
You end
back
up
on
having
track,
that
you
many
have to.
cars, you're gonna have to redo the whole
You
road.
will.
You that
What
many
is-
cars
And
a
all the
day.
culverts,
How much is it?
all the ditches and all the bridges, and, yeah.
How much is it per mile for each surface?
To resurface, without going down to the base.
No, you have to go to the base because the base is bad.
Well, if you
That's
redo
our
the
cost.
whole road, it's $1 million a
Million.
mile. If you go
If
down
it's
to
a
the base.
substructure,
it's
because when they
Yeah.
paved these roads back in whatever, the sixties and
old.
seventies, they graded it and put, really, hot asphalt on it.
Yeah.
But they didn't replace the substructure by putting in a different gravel or whatever, then
The
lime,
base.
and then all the things that make it more stable. They didn't do any of that. I mean, the people that were here when they did it, have told me, that's what they did. They just graded it and then slapped
Oh, yeah.
asphalt.
It was, well, the first thing they did was grade it and throw white rock on it.
No, I'm saying,
Well,
don't forget
that's-
the rock.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah, they
initially,
used to call them oil roads.
but anyway, yeah, but when they finally did, they never went in and replaced the structure that,
Okay.
like, for example, if you see 1565, they did, the state has that, and that does have a good substructure,
Mhm.
but all the county roads don't.
Yeah.
None of them do.
And we're talking about having to do all this for a development that will never contribute one penny taxes to the town.
Correct.
That's
But
the
we don't have
concern.
anything in place. We don't have impact fees in place.
They're at
Well,
town.
but they're out of the town limits even if we do
They're-
it.
But they have to use our roads, therefore we're entitled to an impact fee.
Oh, okay.
Your development impacts our roads, therefore you pay us a fee to, and my proposal is take it from the minute they hit a county road or a town road, call it a town road, until they hit a farm to market road.
Major, you know. So that's
The
something
state
that
road.
needs to be.
Farm to market is a state road, county road is either
State
county
county.
or a town.
But we can assess them now, we can assess them impact.
Yeah. So we have about 30 miles of county road in Poetry, then there's 3 or 4 more miles of state road,
Dale,
FM roads,
Dale, is that a one-time impact fee or can it be
One time.
assessed annually?
one time.
Okay.
So,
Well,
we
what
didn't
we're told
get much done today, but other than have some good conversation.
is that we really can't do that. It's up to the developer. If the developer says, no, I don't wanna do it, he doesn't have to do it.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
really,
that's,
to Robin's point, we don't have any authority on anything.
that's not.
We're just sitting here with our hands out.
Well, again.
I'll get you a tin cup, Tom. You can start shaking it, right?
That's basically it.
I appreciate it, I realize, it, guys, citizens, y'all are in here doing this free work for a town, and, yeah, it's,
Well, I mean, but the fact is, when all this started, it was that Terrell did have the ability to absorb part of the town, and we're planning to. And so, but that, the law changed. And so the law now doesn't allow Terrell to do what they could have done
yeah,
then.
the ETJ, if you wanna put a nail in the coffin, the ETJ law, Senate Bill, whatever, was the nail in our coffin. So, guys, I'll be talking to you during the month, do some soul searching, figure out, what we wanna do.
We'll also have the town hall before we come back too.
That's next week, yeah.
Next week.
Well, that, and then the
Then the
28th, the
28th.
Oh, right,
the
right.
big
So
one,
that'll happen before
before we come
before
back
we
on
come
the
back.
13th
So
of
that'll
August,
be-
so,
some information.
yeah,
And we
that'll
need
give
to-
us some more to,
Need to decide whether Mother Track is coming back.
Huh?
We need to decide if Mother Track is.
Yeah,
The wording is coming
Be
back.
thinking about the mother track, and think about, again, our focus needs to be, what can we do to help and protect the citizens, and at the same time, slow down the development growth. That's all we can do. We can't stop it, we can control it, and slow it down a little bit, and through regulation, we can slow it down.
What I would say is before the next meeting, get some documented, answers from legal regarding the mother track or not.
Well, I think Mr. Berman already has.
Is it, do we have to document something?
It's the way it was written, we change the way it is written.
It's written as a
Yeah,
but get that.
Otherwise, knock off the bottom 4 zoning classifications because nobody qualifies.
But what I'm saying is get that confirmation from legal that we can, so you guys can see. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, legal said that if we phrase it like this, then we're good to go. I would get that confirmation from legal in writing, an email or whatever.
It just depends on how you write it.
Sure, yeah,
Yeah.
but just
That's
as
all
long,
it is.
as long as they have the ability to see.
We're
that.
just looking at it
When
for
first
septic
incorporated.
zoning, we're not looking
Well,
at
all I
it.
ever saw was.
Really, what got that question going was Bishop Field, and when it was posed to Dave Garman is, okay, this is the mother track, is that something that we control? And it is in writing. He gave us an email on it.
Yeah, we
It
can't
says,
control.
Says it's outside your
I'll agree
control,
with
you
that.
can't do anything.
I agree with you right now.
Yeah,
We can't do we can't control
I
the
think.
ETJ.
But we were hoping we could, through the way the zoning was written. When Bishop Field raised its head, because when we did this originally, Bishop Field was not a development that we knew of. It was just the blank airport.
And it was a half a
Then,
dozen different
when it
tracks.
came in, and then we had those meetings with Bishop Field, that's when we raised this with Dave Berman, and he came back and said, no.
No, he answered that question. We have no control. But we're not trying to
But
control.
the Bishop Field, the concept of a mother track leading us into Bishop Field, the answer is no.
No, I know, but
No.
what I'm trying
That's a
to get
different
at
question.
is a confirmation from legal that we can categorize a property based on the mother track.
Let's kill the
Yeah,
meeting.
can we adjourn?
Yeah,
Can we
let's
tap
adjourn.
out? All right, we're done.
Second.
And we are.